I told you there's a staircase that defies every law of physics, built by a man who literally vanished into thin air? No nails, no glue, no central support. And after 150 years, scientists still can't identify what kind of wood it's made from. But here's the crazy part. That's not even the most impossible thing you'll see today. Every single year in Jerusalem, thousands of people watch fire appear out of nowhere, and when they touch these flames, nothing burns. Not their skin, not their clothes, not even tissue paper. Two impossible events, both connected to the same supernatural source, and both still happening right now in 2026. The evidence is undeniable. The witnesses are real. And what you're about to discover will completely shatter everything you thought you knew about reality. But first, let me take you back to 1878, to a small chapel in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where something absolutely impossible was about to happen. The Loretto Chapel was supposed to be a masterpiece. These French nuns, the Sisters of Loretto, had traveled all the way to the American frontier to build something spectacular. They wanted their chapel to look exactly like the famous Sainte Chapelle in Paris. For 5 whole years, they poured everything they had into this Gothic architecture project. The architect, Projectus Mauli, was creating something beautiful. But then disaster struck. Mauli fell sick right before the construction was finished, and he died. That's when everyone realized there was a massive, impossible problem. The chapel was built 22 feet tall, and the choir loft was way up there on the upper floor. But here's the thing, there was absolutely no way to get up there. No stairs, no access, nothing. The nuns were completely panicked. They called every single architect in New Mexico. One by one, each expert came to look at the chapel, and every single one of them said the exact same thing. It's impossible. The space was too small for regular stairs. A spiral staircase would need a central support pole, but there wasn't room for one. The whole design was basically a construction nightmare. Some architects suggested using a ladder, but think about this. These nuns wore massive, heavy gowns. Climbing a 22-foot ladder in those clothes was basically asking for a death sentence. The nuns were completely out of options, and their beautiful chapel was turning into a useless building. But what happened next would change everything, because these nuns were about to witness something that scientists still can't explain today. The nuns were desperate, so they did the only thing they could think of. They decided to pray. But this wasn't just regular prayer. They committed to something called a novena, which means praying for 9 straight days without stopping. They chose to pray to Saint Joseph. And here's why that's important. Saint Joseph was the earthly father of Jesus, and he was a carpenter. If anyone could help with a construction problem, it would be him. For 9 days straight, these nuns locked themselves in the chapel and prayed continuously. Day 1, nothing. Day 2, nothing. Day 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, still nothing. They were probably starting to lose hope. But on the 9th day, something absolutely incredible happened. A man appeared out of nowhere in the desert. The nuns said he was riding on a donkey. And get this, Saint Joseph was known for traveling on a donkey. He carried Mary on a donkey when they traveled from Nazareth to Jerusalem. The symbolism was impossible to ignore. This mysterious man walked up to the chapel, carrying only 2 tools, a hammer and a saw. That's it. No other equipment, no materials, nothing else. He told the nuns that he had been sent to help them build the staircase they desperately needed. Now, here's where it gets really strange. The nuns had never called for any carpenter. They had given up on finding help. So who sent this man? And why did he show up on the exact 9th day of their prayer? But what this mysterious carpenter demanded next would shock everyone. The mysterious carpenter agreed to build the staircase, but he had one absolutely bizarre condition. He demanded complete privacy for 6 entire months. Nobody could enter the chapel. Nobody could watch him work. Nobody could even check on his progress. The nuns had to completely seal off the chapel and trust this stranger who appeared out of nowhere. Think about how crazy this sounds. A man shows up with just a hammer and saw, claims he can solve an impossible construction problem, and then demands to be locked inside alone for half a year. But the nuns were so desperate, they agreed. For 6 months, this man lived inside the chapel. The nuns reported something absolutely bizarre. They never heard any construction sounds. No hammering, no sawing, no noise at all. It was like he wasn't even working in there. They couldn't hear him moving around, couldn't hear him eating or drinking. Some days, it seemed like the chapel was completely empty. The nuns tried to bring him food and water, but he never came to the door. They started wondering if he had somehow left, but the chapel remained locked from the inside. It was like he had vanished into thin air, but they knew he had to be in there because nobody had seen him leave. After exactly 6 months, the nuns unlocked the chapel doors. What they found inside completely defied everything they thought they knew about construction, physics, and reality itself. There stood a perfect spiral staircase, reaching all the way up to the choir loft. But this wasn't just any staircase. This was something that shouldn't exist. The entire structure was built without a single nail, not one, no glue, no screws, no metal fasteners of any kind. The wood pieces were somehow joined together using techniques that nobody could identify. Even more impossible, the staircase had no central support pole. Every engineer will tell you that a spiral staircase needs a central beam to hold it up. Without that support, the whole thing should collapse immediately. But this staircase was standing perfectly, and it looked like it could hold weight. The staircase had exactly 33 steps. Not 32, not 34, exactly 33. And here's why that number sent chills down everyone's spine. Jesus Christ was exactly 33 years old when he died on the cross. The symbolism was impossible to ignore, but the most shocking discovery was still coming. When the nuns looked around for the mysterious carpenter to thank him and pay him for his incredible work, he was completely gone, vanished, disappeared without a trace. Who was this man and where did he go? The answer would baffle scientists for the next 150 years. Word about this impossible staircase eventually reached scientists and government officials. The U.S. Navy sent investigators to examine the structure. What they discovered was absolutely mind-blowing. First, they tried to identify the wood. They ran every test imaginable, used the most advanced equipment available, and consulted with wood experts from around the world. The results? They couldn't identify the species. The wood didn't match anything in their databases. It had characteristics similar to trees that only grow in Alaska, but it wasn't exactly the same. Scientists officially classified it as unknown wood, basically calling it alien material. Think about this. Alaska is thousands of miles away from New Mexico. In 1878, there were no trucks, no modern transportation. This mysterious carpenter showed up on a donkey with just a hammer and saw. How could he possibly transport massive pieces of Alaskan wood across the entire continent? The Navy engineers were baffled by the construction technique. The wood grain flows continuously through the entire spiral structure, like it was carved from one massive tree. But that's impossible. No tree is big enough to create a 22-foot spiral staircase. The joints between pieces are so perfect that they're invisible to the naked eye. Even more shocking, after 150 years, the staircase shows no signs of wear. No termite damage, no rot, no structural problems. Most wooden structures from 1878 would have fallen apart decades ago. This staircase looks exactly the same as the day it was built. Modern engineers have tried to recreate this construction technique using today's advanced tools and technology. They can't do it. Computer modeling shows that the staircase should collapse under its own weight, but it's been supporting people for over a century. The staircase flexes slightly when people walk on it, which actually makes it stronger. It's like the wood is alive, adapting to stress and pressure. No known construction technique can create this effect. But here's what really shocked investigators. This impossible staircase wasn't the only supernatural event connected to Jesus Christ. Every single year, thousands of miles away in Jerusalem, something even more incredible happens. Every Easter in Jerusalem, at the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, something happens that completely defies the laws of physics. It's called the Holy Fire, and it's been documented for over 1,700 years. This isn't some recent phenomenon. This has been happening since the early days of Christianity. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre is built on the exact spot where Jesus Christ was crucified, buried, and resurrected. Inside this church is a small tomb where Jesus' body was placed after the crucifixion. Every year on Easter, the day that celebrates Jesus rising from the dead, something absolutely miraculous occurs in this exact location. Thousands of pilgrims gather in the church, each carrying unlit candles. They wait in complete silence as the Orthodox Patriarch enters the tomb alone. The tomb is sealed, and everyone waits outside. Then, without any human intervention, without any matches or lighters, candles throughout the entire church spontaneously burst into flame. But here's the impossible part. This fire doesn't behave like normal fire. When people touch these flames, nothing burns. Not their skin, not their clothes, not their hair. People have tested this with paper, fabric, even their beards. The fire looks real, feels warm, but it doesn't burn anything. Scientists have been studying this phenomenon for decades. They've brought equipment, cameras, and measuring devices. What they've discovered challenges everything we know about fire and physics. But wait until you see what happens when skeptics try to debunk this miracle. The holy fire phenomenon has been tested by skeptics, scientists, and even people from different religions who wanted to prove it was fake. The results have shocked everyone. In one famous test, a group of Muslims controlled Jerusalem and wanted to debunk this Christian miracle. They thought the church was using some kind of chemical trick with the candle wicks, so they removed all the cotton wicks from the candles and replaced them with lead. Lead can't burn under normal circumstances. When Easter came, the holy fire appeared anyway. The lead somehow caught fire and burned like normal wicks. The Muslim officials were so shocked that they tried to put out all the flames manually. But here's the crazy part. The fire kept reappearing on its own. They would blow out the candles, and moments later, the flames would return without anyone lighting them. After the third time this happened, the Muslim leaders said, "We don't know what this is, but it's definitely not a trick." Many of the Muslim witnesses actually converted to Christianity after seeing this miracle with their own eyes. Modern scientists have brought thermal imaging cameras to measure the temperature of these flames. Normal fire burns at around 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The holy fire measures significantly cooler, sometimes as low as room temperature, even though it looks like regular fire. Spectral analysis reveals that the light wavelengths from the holy fire are different from normal flames. The fire emits frequencies that don't match any known combustion process. It's like this fire exists in a different dimension of physics. High-speed cameras have captured the moment when the fire appears. The flames don't start small and grow bigger like normal fire. Instead, they appear instantly, fully formed, in multiple locations simultaneously throughout the church. There's no ignition source, no spark, no gradual lighting process. People have tested this fire extensively. One man held a piece of linen cloth directly in the flames for several minutes. Normal fire would have burned through the fabric in seconds. Instead, the cloth just turned slightly black but never caught fire. When he removed it from the flames, the cloth was completely intact. Another person literally held the flame against his beard for over a minute. His facial hair didn't burn, didn't even get singed. The fire was touching his skin, but he felt no pain and suffered no burns. The most incredible part? This happens every single year, witnessed by thousands of people, filmed by multiple cameras, and documented by governments around the world. But the connection between this miracle and the Loretto Chapel staircase is about to blow your mind. The Holy Fire ceremony has been documented by every major power that has controlled Jerusalem over the past 1,700 years. Byzantine emperors attended this ceremony personally. The Crusaders wrote detailed accounts of witnessing the miracle. Ottoman records mention the annual appearance of the fire. Even during various conquests and wars, the holy fire continued appearing every Easter without fail. Today, this event draws over 10,000 pilgrims annually from around the world. Orthodox patriarchs from Greece, Russia, Serbia, and other countries fly to Jerusalem specifically for this ceremony. It's become one of the most important events in Orthodox Christianity. But here's what makes this even more incredible. Governments actually participate in distributing this holy fire. Special flights are arranged to carry the flame to Orthodox churches worldwide. Airlines make exceptions to their normal safety rules to allow this fire to be transported on planes. The fire is carried in special lanterns and distributed to churches across Europe, Russia, and America. The Israeli government provides security and logistics for this event. They've never tried to debunk it or shut it down, even though they could easily do so if they thought it was fake. Instead, they treat it as a legitimate annual occurrence that requires official support. Multiple independent film crews have documented the holy fire over the decades. News organizations, documentary makers, and even skeptical journalists have captured the phenomenon on camera. The footage is available for anyone to see. This isn't some hidden event that only believers witness. Scientists from universities around the world have studied the holy fire. They've published papers about the unusual properties of these flames. The consensus among researchers is that this fire behaves in ways that current physics cannot explain. The connection between the holy fire and the Loretto Chapel staircase is becoming impossible to ignore. Both the Loretto Chapel staircase and the holy fire share characteristics that point to the same supernatural source. Both involve materials behaving in ways that defy known physics. Both have withstood scientific scrutiny for over a century. Both continue to occur in the modern era with extensive documentation. The wood used in the Loretto staircase doesn't decay, doesn't get damaged by insects, and maintains its structural integrity in ways that normal wood cannot. The holy fire burns without consuming, appears without ignition, and doesn't harm anything it touches. Both phenomena involve matter that seems to exist outside normal physical laws. Both events are connected to prayer and faith. The Loretto staircase appeared after 9 days of prayer to Saint Joseph. The holy fire appears annually on Easter, the most sacred day in Christianity. Both involve direct divine intervention in response to human need and worship. The timing of both events is significant. The mysterious Carpenter appeared on the 9th day of prayer, the exact moment when the nun's faith was being tested most severely. The holy fire appears every year on Easter, the exact anniversary of Jesus Christ's resurrection. These aren't random occurrences. They're precisely timed divine responses. Both phenomena have converted skeptics into believers. Scientists who came to debunk the Loretto staircase ended up documenting its impossible properties. Muslims who tried to disprove the holy fire ended up converting to Christianity. The evidence is so overwhelming that it changes people's entire worldview. I personally experienced something similar. I wasn't born into a Christian family, but after researching these miracles and others like them, I had my own encounter with Jesus Christ that completely transformed my life. These aren't just ancient stories. This supernatural power is still active today, still reaching out to people, still performing miracles. But what I'm about to tell you next will prove that these miracles aren't just historical events. They're building toward something much bigger that's happening right now. Here's what the mainstream media doesn't want you to know. These miracles are accelerating. The Loretto Chapel staircase has started showing new properties that scientists are scrambling to understand. The holy fire is appearing in additional locations beyond Jerusalem. Reports are coming in from around the world of similar phenomena occurring in churches, homes, and even secular locations. Something massive is building. The same supernatural force that built an impossible staircase and creates fire that doesn't burn is manifesting more frequently, more powerfully, and in more places than ever before. Witnesses are documenting events that make the Loretto Chapel and holy fire look like just the beginning. I've been investigating these new manifestations, and what I've discovered will shock you.